Headlines are full of financial information that require considerable mathematical knowledge to understand. Student loans are overwhelming, most baby boomers haven't saved enough for retirement, and there's a never-ending federal budget crisis. Yet most students never encounter these subjects in school.
We want to keep rebuilding our economy on a stronger, more stable foundation. Then we've got to get smarter.
Across the country, schools are in the process of implementing the Common Core state standards to help kids get smarter. Unfortunately, in many of these schools, instruction will remain much the same. So let's take this standard for example. This 7th grade math Common Core state standard calls for students to solve real-life and mathematical problems using numerical and algebraic expressions and equations. So what does this look like in a typical classroom? In most classrooms, real-life math problems mean word problems, like this one. Students generally hate these problems and see limited applicability to their own lives. Instead, students are usually thinking, math is so boring, when am I ever going to need this, and I wish I were watching a movie now. In essence, they're bored. So what would it look like if students really met the Common Core state standards with depth, integrity, and imagination? Well, it might look like the 20 Years Project at High Tech Middle School in San Diego, California. Each student at High Tech Middle School created a portfolio mapping out the next 20 years of their lives. In addition to researching their desired career path and writing an essay about their futures, they also calculated their monthly budgets, including how much they would need to save for retirement and their annual tax bill. This particular 20-year project was done by Kathleen, a 13-year-old girl who planned to become a medical scientist.
We worked on Excel budgeting so that they could figure out their expenses, searching at different careers. They went on monster.com to try to find them.
So let's look at this 7th grade math standard again in light of this project. First, solve multi-step real-life and mathematical problems. Kathleen did this by creating a grocery list and determining her weekly budget. Then, she researched the car she wished to purchase and calculated its fuel efficiency. Finally, she determined the cost of the university she planned to attend and how much she would have to borrow in student loans. All of these tasks have very real implications for students' lives. Second, the standard requires that these problems be posed with both positive and negative rational numbers. In calculating her monthly budget, Kathleen determined both her projected and actual costs, which included surpluses and deficits. Standards also expect students to be able to use numbers in several forms: whole numbers, fractions, and decimals. Kathleen used all three, as well as percentages, to calculate the proportion of her budget that she would spend in each category. Kathleen also strategically used Excel spreadsheets and graphical representations to complete and explain her work. Next, Kathleen accurately applied the properties of multiplication and addition to calculate her retirement savings. When determining her taxes, Kathleen appropriately converted from 28% to 0.28 as a decimal. Finally, the standard expects students to be able to assess the reasonableness of their answers using mental computation and estimation strategies. Although we can't know exactly what Kathleen was thinking, her written explanation about the struggles she would have paying her future bills and college debts indicate that she has internalized the real-life implications of her computations.
I learned a lot of things that are definitely our real life things that are going to come in handy in the future. I learned how to do my taxes and to create a monthly budget, and I found a house for myself and I have to apply to college, and so these are all things that I'm going to be doing.
It's clear that the 20 Years Project enabled Kathleen not only to meet the Common Core state standard, but also to gain skills that she will use throughout her life. So let's ditch the boring word problems and let kids tackle real problems.